My dad's like, Penn's an Ivy League school, man. I was like, okay, well, let me give him a call back. And from there, the head coach was at my practice probably once a week. He went to multiple games. He would call me all the time and just put on the recruiting blitz to make me really feel comfortable. And then I credit my teammate and one of my good friends now, Miles Cartwright, who hosted me on my visit, did a really good job on my official, made me feel at home, made me feel wanted, made me feel like I could really contribute to the team. And it ultimately came down to, once I was deciding with a bucket of schools that I felt were quality enough, were a good enough fit for me, it came down to that personal connection with the team and coaching staff.
That you had 15 offers. Do you remember who they were?
I remember who a few of them were.
Okay.
I remember Holy Cross, like Furman. It was like a bunch of schools around South Carolina, like D1, but mid-major schools around South Carolina. High Point is another one. It was a great assortment of schools. I was super grateful, but I was always looking for more, pursuing more, trying to see what all I could squeeze out of this recruitment period.
Right. Matthew, do you think it was worthwhile to do all of the AAU circuit? Because there's a philosophy that some folks are just saying, just do high school. Some folks, and I've heard college coaches say this, if they had a child, they would only focus on the AAU circuit. What's your thought process on that?
I think it's a balance, and I think it's evolving over time. I think AAU is very important, but I don't think it should be the end all be all. I think spending your summers working out, getting better, whether it's with your high school team or with your own, is just as important. But I will say this, AAU is where you showcase your talents. AAU is where you're going to get in front of the most coaches at the most times with the most frequency. So you don't want to find yourself in a box where you're having to have the coaches come to you, which is typically what happens during high school. Coaches have to make trips to come see you. Coaches have to come see you on a Wednesday at a practice or come to your game on a Friday night. Versus in the summer, you can go to a tournament and there's 50 coaches there. There's 100 coaches there, and coaches can kind of be walking by and notice you. You just put yourself in such a bigger opportunity bucket for a chance at being seen and a chance of being recruited at these AU tournaments. But you should be selective about it. You don't have to play in every tournament. There's tournaments I've skipped. Like there's EYBL tournaments I skipped. Like I didn't feel good. I knew I was going to play like trash. So I said, I'm staying home. Like I'm just not in the right mind. I'm not in the right physical space. And I'm happy about those decisions because I think that could have been detrimental to me more than anything.
What made you choose the University of Pennsylvania, and what factors mattered most in your decision-making?
The real reason is Coach Scott Pera, who coached at Rice. I think he's not the AD, but like the general manager of the new position that they're creating for NIL at Penn State now. He called my phone like 15 times during a week period. And me as the naive 17-year-old at the time, he's like, yeah, I'm with the University of Pennsylvania. I'm with Penn, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea what that was at that time. Like literally no clue. Didn't know it was an Ivy League school. Knew nothing about it. All I thought that it was like another school that like I didn't really have interest in. And so finally he's calling me while I'm on the way home from practice with my dad. And I'm like, man, this school Penn just keeps calling me. Like I never answer. Like I don't know what's going on. My dad's like, Penn's an Ivy League school, man. I was like, okay, well, let me give him a call back. And from there, The head coach was at my practice probably once a week. He went to multiple games. He would call me all the time and just put on the recruiting blitz to make me really feel comfortable. And then I credit my teammate and one of my good friends now, Miles Cartwright, who hosted me on my visit, did a really good job on my official, made me feel at home, made me feel wanted, made me feel like I could really contribute to the team. And it ultimately came down to once I was deciding with a bucket of schools that I felt were quality enough, were a good enough fit for me, it came down to that personal connection with the team and coaching staff.
That's good.
And I would encourage most athletes to lean on that. Like once you get to a certain point, let who really has a genuine interest in who you are be a deciding factor more so than anything. Because my coach, for further reference, once I got on campus, like set me up with my roommate, who's now one of my best friends, and also exposed me to a whole new way of life. He comes from like a wealthy background, and he handpicked that relationship, that rooming situation, because he knew, I guess, or thought that we one would get what hit it off, but two, he just felt like I was in a position to like handle that and be able to be exposed to some of those things to further my life.
Good. What advice would you give to high schoolers? Because they're September is the month where coaches can call right now. So what advice would you give high school athletes navigating the recruiting process today? What should they be looking for when they're getting these calls? And what questions should they ask?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I didn't ask enough is like, how am I going to fit into your system? What position do you want me to play? A lot of times, like I ended up playing the 4 by the end of my career, which is fine. Like I had a really good career, but I came in as a 2 and then slid down to a 3 and then ended up as like a stretch 4 just because we were playing 4 out 1 in. But the reality is like better understanding the fit on the court is a big thing. Understanding kind of what resources you're going to have around you on both the academic and athletic side, whether that's nutrition, whether that's the training staff, and whether that's tutors. I think that's a big thing that goes overlooked. It's something that I wish I dived in on. And mental health, like mental performance coaches as well. That's another big key that you're starting to see with a lot of colleges. And that's, to me, that's those 4 things that I mentioned are like, should be standard when you're picking up your life and, moving to these schools. But from there, just wanted to better understand, just be genuine, get to know the people that you're going to spend the next 4 years with. Those 4 years, I thought AC Flora was going to stick with me, but Penn sticks with me is stickier than Gorilla Glue. Like that is going to be with me for the rest of my life, for good and bad. And so you want to think about that when you're talking to these coaches. It's like, are you going to be a catalyst for my life? Are you going to, like, you got to understand that they actually really care about you, because if they don't, you find yourself transferring a year or 2 later. You can find yourself kind of being this guy that's kind of a nomad for your career, and it's tough to have a successful career doing that.
So you get to Penn, and you check in, you just put your stuff in the room, and you're all set and ready to go. So then what was your experience like as a student athlete? You go to the basketball conditioning and you go to workouts and so forth. How were you received when you finally got there and you were on campus and it was all day, every day?
That is a great way to describe it. It is all day, every day. I think people underestimate how much is required of you. High school, yeah, it's hard. You go to practice every day after school. College, you're in classes, learning about stuff you never learned before. You're around all new people. These aren't people you grew up with. These aren't people you've known for 12, 13 years. I don't see Mr. Strange and a parent that's just familiar going into the games or in the crowds. Everything is new, right? And on top of that, your body is being put through something that it's never been put through before, because every move you have to make has to be your best move. Every sprint you have to make is your best sprint. Everything you do, it has to be at such a higher level than what you're used to. You don't realize if you're getting recruited and if you're a good high school player, you are going into an environment where everybody else was just as good as you.
Great point.
So what are you going to do to be better than them? And a lot of people get on campus, specifically at schools like Penn, these Ivy League schools, and they realize, oh, I'll probably make more money doing banking out of school, and I'll probably make more money doing whatever. They just kind of mail it in. It's like, this isn't worth it. This is too hard. Right. That's a fate that happens to a lot of people. And it's not like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just the reality of the situation. But in order to be successful, I was just always, like I said, I always want to be better. I always want to be the best for myself. And I always want to be the best player on the team or whatever environment I'm in. And so that was, go ahead.
Just curious, could you see that in a person where they were just mentally, they just quit? Or did they just physically quit? Or just was it a mentally, they checked out when they realized they just weren't cut out for college?
I think it's mental more than anything. You kind of stop going to the gym to get up extra shots. You just stop doing anything that's extra. You kind of do what's required rather than looking to attack the situation, or more so like empower yourself to, give yourself a chance to be great. And then other people, there's just bad situations. Like the coaching staff sours on you.
Okay.
You have things that happen in your family life and your personal life. And we've had people that had health issues. We had people that dealt with injuries. Injuries are something that's also never talked about. But once you get to the college level, there is a higher chance you're going to get an injury because your body's put under more stress than it's ever put. It's a strenuous day every single day. You're not getting great sleep. You're sleeping on the road sometimes. You're traveling. You're in a new environment. Sometimes even a totally different climate than you've ever lived in before in your life. Yeah. And so how do you recover from injuries? How do you bounce back? And I know I take this question completely in a different direction, but those first few days, basically all I'm saying, it was hard. It was tough. It was the hardest freshman and sophomore year were the hardest 2 years of my entire life, still to this day. Figuring it out on the court, not getting playing time for the first time ever in my life since I was 4 years old. And then when you finally get playing time, you're not playing to the level that you've always played at. You go from averaging whatever you're averaging in high school to like, that's a good game if I get 9. It's like, what's going on here? So yeah, it's just be prepared for the grind and just don't quit. Like it gets better on the other side.
That's great. And I will end with this. I have known Matthew Howard's family, his parents, great people, and you could see the work ethic that they have instilled in him. He and his sisters, we've known them for a long time, and we're grateful for the relationship that we have with the Howards. Very, very smart family. And we're very proud of you, Matthew, for what you're doing and for hanging in there, because we know it's not easy. Jordan, our daughter, went through the process as well, and our son went through the process on Broadway as well. So it's tough out there. And I applaud you and just want you to know that we're very proud of you. From humble beginnings at AC Flora High School to where you are now, you're accomplishing a lot and you're laying the groundwork for bigger things to come.
Sounds good. It's great to catch up. I really appreciate the time. I hope it's helpful to athletes, parents out there. I'm really passionate about, instilling into the youth, instilling into young, inspiring athletes. I think there's a fit for most people out there. You just got to go out there and find it.
And parents, from the bleachers to the big leagues to the boardroom, Matthew Howard's journey reminds us that recruiting isn't just about getting into college. It's about preparing for life beyond the game. So whether you're a student athlete, a parent, a mentor, there's wisdom here for every stage of the journey. And Matthew showed us that stats may fill the box score, but character fills the resume. So thanks for tuning in to Recruiting from the Bleachers. And remember, from the bleachers to the big leagues to the boardroom, which Matthew is in right now, let's keep cheering and steering our student athletes on to success. We'll see you next time. That wraps up another episode of Recruiting from the Bleachers. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and I appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to join us next week for another insightful conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube at Recruiting from the Bleachers. Like, share, and follow to keep up with the latest updates. And don't hesitate to leave your comments and questions. We'd love to hear from you. For a deeper dive into the basketball recruiting process, check out our book, Basketball Recruiting, A Parent's Perspective, available now on Amazon.com. Parents, remember, From the bleachers to the big leagues to the boardroom, let's keep cheering and steering our student athletes towards success. We'll see you next time.